Hey Jeepers, I'm Josh, and on this episode of the Jeep Talk Show, we're going to talk about driveline vibrations and the potential of all-electric Jeeps coming from China and whether or not that's going to be a good thing. Tony?
Yeah, it's a damn thing about this 2003 TJ that my wife drives, or I should say doesn't drive. Josh, with your XJ, did you ever have driveline vibrations, especially after making the changes or upgrades?
Yeah, I did. Initially, in the first stage of my lift, when I first got the XJ, I did about a 2.5-inch, 3-inch lift or thereabouts. I think was the first phase of things, and of course, I did have rear driveline vibrations, as a lot of Jeepers do when they go over 2 inches. Just one of those things. And at the time, I had opted for a transfer case drop, and I think that was the cheapest solution at the time. And my Jeep build has been done on a budget primarily since the beginning. There wasn't a whole lot of things that I've done that I splurged on, if you will. So yeah, that was one of the things that I had to combat first and foremost was that, and that was because of the lift, not because of anything else.
Yeah. Now you've done U-joint replacements on axles and the axles that go in your main, the tube axles, the drive shaft axle, all that stuff.
I think I've replaced every U-joint on that Jeep probably 3 times.
Yeah, I've done them many, many times. I've never done one on a TJ, and I don't know if you've never had a TJ, but I think you've helped some buddies out with TJs.
Oh, I've worked on plenty of them.
That rear drive shaft is a tiny little thing. Yes.
It's about 18 inches long.
Yes, it's so tiny, and I think that's one of the reasons why I had problems. The U-joints needed to be replaced in my wife's 2003 TJ rear drive shaft. So I spent the $35. It's not doesn't have that, as I like to say, the sweater, the cardigan rear joint on it. It didn't have a cardan joint on it because it's a slip yoke that it uses. So I just $35, Spicer U-joints, put them in there, but I couldn't get them to seat exactly the way I wanted them to seat. And it wasn't until later that I found out why they came with 2 different color clips. They kind of had a blackish, grayish, dark clip, and they had a copper color, which actually is copper, thinner clip. So
those are the ones that I'm familiar with. Yeah,
I didn't know. I'd never had seen that in any of the other ones, or never had to think about it. So I put the ones that didn't look wrong. The copper ones looked wrong. Well, I found out later, one of our guest hosts that does do this stuff for a living told me that the thinner ones is probably what I needed to use. At any rate, it worked perfectly fine. It was all right, but around 40 miles an hour, it had a little bit of vibration. And I think it was because it wasn't centered properly. And I think it was because the drive shaft was so short that it caused that vibration.
There is something that you may have forgotten, a subject that we had covered, long ago. And I think we've only covered it maybe once or twice in the history of the show. Driveline phasing. Are you familiar with that? Do you remember driveline phasing and how to phase your driveline properly to avoid vibration?
Would that be barking the drive shaft, how it went in, so when you put it back, it was in the same?
No, it's kind of like It's kind of like a Star Trek thing. It kind of goes into existence and out of existence. And no, I'm just kidding. It has to do with the direction that the yokes are facing. And if your driveline is in phase, you've got yokes that sort of counterbalance each other. If the driveline is out of phase, you essentially have the drivetrain, the drive line itself, that whole section is out of balance because all the drive lines themselves are static balanced on a machine to themselves. And they trust that drive line is going to be installed properly into the vehicle so that balancing can continue after installation. Now, if you install it backwards or upside down, and you have an unphased driveline, these vibrations can sink in because the drivetrain itself is no longer in balance.
So I don't understand the U-joint will only go in one way on the rear, and the part that holds the slip yoke, you can only put the U-joint in one way. So how do you handle the phasing? I mean, could I have done anything different when installing the U-joints, or is it just too bad, too sad? It's out of phase now.
Well, no, not necessarily, unless the drive line was out of the vehicle, or there was allowed for some turning to have happened in between installation, removal, and reinstallation. There's some images that you can look up, and I would suggest anybody who's not familiar with the term driveline phasing to look up that term on Google. There's a ton of images that will explain this very clearly as to sort of how the counterbalancing works between the two yokes and which way they need to be facing. This is independent of the U-joint. The U-joint is essentially a cross. There is no up, there is no down.
I think I see what you're saying, where the slip yoke portion of it, or I guess the yoke on the differential, if it was twisted. No, the Jeep didn't move. The only thing that moved was I had it in neutral, the transfer case in neutral, so I could adjust it enough to get it to line up with the yoke on the differential. So yeah, right. I don't know. It's a mystery. But what I did do, we'll get more information on that because I'd like to talk more about that, but I don't have any detailed information on it right now.
Sure.
But what I did do, I think my wife would not drive it. She did not feel safe driving this.
Oh yeah, I mean, because this is akin to death wobble almost.
No, that's not that's what I'm telling you. Is this was a minor vibration at 40 miles an hour.
Minor vibration.
And that's why I brought up the XJ thing, is because I think you and I have lived with minor vibrations on the XJ for
it's a Jeep.
10,
come on. I mean,
15, 20 years. Yeah. Yeah. So I drove it just fine. I didn't have a problem driving it at all, you know, but she didn't like it. She refused to drive the TJ. And fortunately we had a brand new Gladiator that she could drive.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but she wants to get back to her TJ. She loves her TJ. She wants to get back to it.
Oh, who wouldn't?
So I was gonna replace both U joints again, and just try to do a do-over. But there was no guarantee that was going to fix it. So I had checked way back when. Now this has been over a year that she hasn't driven her TJ. Wow, so I checked way back when, and the full replacement drive shafts were like $399. $499.
I was going to say you'd be north of $250 easy, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. $250 wouldn't have been too bad. So just for grins and giggles, you know, I don't know why I always think about getting out there and working on the U joints and stuff when it's 600 degrees outside. But I went and checked on Amazon for a factory TJ, and you have to be specific too, because things are different if you have a Dana 44, if you have a certain transmission, certain transfer case, and so on and so forth. So I found the exact part number that I needed to use for this 2003 TJ 2003 X model.
So you got OE equipment. You got something like an Omix 80A type of.
I don't think it was OEM, right? But it was equivalent to that specific part number.
Okay, so we're not talking about like a Tom Woods or an Adams or anything like that. It's okay.
Yeah. So I found it on Amazon with a good rating for the product, $139.50 shipped.
Get out of here! Really?
Yep.
What is it, made of tinfoil? What's going on here?
It had like I said, it was rated well. It had a 4.5-star rating on it, and several hundred of these things have been sold. And I thought to myself, okay, I can spend $35 and get a couple more U joints and take another hack at it and see if I can get it right this time, or I can just get this replacement drive shaft that should already be taken care of and balanced and everything else.
And it was a full assembly, right?
Full
We're
assembly.
Not just talking about. Okay, all right.
I even had little bracket type thing on the U caps. It wasn't taped. It actually had a metal bracket holding the caps on. And it was really nice. It even came with a replacement sleeve and replacement bands so that you could tie that sleeve, you know, that little accordion looking thing that goes on the slip yoke. Anyway, I was very impressed with it, and it's a heavy little too. It's so funny that little bitty drive shaft is so heavy.
A solid steel,
it really is.
For a little drive shaft. Yeah.
So I had it for a few days before I got out there. I've been having a hard time just getting up and down with my age, up and down from the Jeep, and I knew this was about a 30-minute job. So I finally did it.
Sure.
Yeah, I finally did it. I didn't get, and I want to mention this. I didn't do this, but anytime you take the drive shaft off, and it's got those straps holding it on, which most of them do. You should replace the straps. The straps that hold the U joints to the yoke, those straps are a one-time use. So they don't cost much money. I think they come with bolts as well. So it's just a good idea to do that. I probably should order another set of straps just so I can put on there and kind of finish up the job. But I got it on there.
in the kit just in case, something breaks on the trail, you lose something, or somebody else has a failure or something. You've got a spare, in other words. And geez, at $139 off of Amazon delivered, dude, I mean, that's not a bad idea just to have the entire assembly sitting in the back ready to go. I mean, because I've been out on trails. I mean, the first day we were out on the Rubicon, when I did that trip, we broke a drive shaft. I mean, literally twisted it in half on big granite shelves. So that was a whole adventure unto itself. Had we had a spare ready to go, as little as $139 to bolt onto the roll cage and have it there when you need it, boy, that's a little piece of assurance that doesn't cost a whole lot.
Yeah, well, of course, that's when you're still stock. I mean, the Jeep does have a 4.5-inch lift. It has the transfer case drop on it, so on and so forth, but it still is a stock drive shaft. So if you go, and this is the Dana 35, and I guarantee you, unless you're insane or don't know any better, you're not going on the Rubicon with a Dana 35.
I probably not. I was going to say, and I'm pretty sure this Jeep in particular isn't going to be doing a whole lot of rock crawling in its near future, so it's safe.
Oh, she doesn't like the minor vibrations at 40 miles an hour. She ain't going on the Rubicon.
Sure. So I suppose the question on everybody's mind at this point now is going to be, did it solve the problem? It
is fun to drive. It has always been a very smooth, fun, a little bucky, but it's a two-door. It's a TJ, so it's short. And it bucks a little bit. I mean,
Jeeps are fun to drive, and they're an active vehicle, and so it's what makes Jeeps fun to drive to begin with, is because it's not a Cadillac that you can steer with your pinky and almost just auto drive down the road. You've got to be a driver to pilot a Jeep, and
you can feel it. I think you can feel what you're doing.
Yeah, you definitely have a connection to the vehicle and to the road and whatever else is beneath you. So, and I think that's one of the biggest draws to owning a Jeep.
Yeah. So it's made a big difference. My wife is taking care of her mom, so she's been gone for a few days, staying over at her mom's house, and she took the Gladiator over there. So I jumped in the TJ today, ran down and got a burger. And it's just fun to drive. You don't have, I don't feel, I mean, like I said, I'm used to the vibrations, not from the Gladiator, of course, but from the XJ. Oh yeah. It's, you get those vibrations. This is the way it is. But when you have a more enjoyable experience, whenever you're driving something that doesn't have those vibrations. Now I did notice some slight vibrations, highway speeds the other day. But my wife hasn't driven it.
That could possibly be just wheels. Tires need to be rebalanced or something like that. I
don't know how it was before. So anyway, it's out of inspection. My wife will refuse. She's so special. She refuses to drive it with it not being inspected. So I've got to get it inspected before she'll drive it again. She's anxious to get back in it. She loves her TJ. And so now we should be getting it inspected tomorrow. We tried the other day, but I guess because the battery had gone down on it, a couple of the tests that the ECU does hadn't completed. So I checked today, and they've completed. So hopefully we'll get it inspected tomorrow, and she can start driving her TJ. But man, the TJ is just a great vehicle.
It had been a while since you had driven it, at least on any kind of regular basis, hadn't it?
It hasn't been driven on a regular basis, I bet you, in a couple of years.
Wow. Yeah, okay, so this is almost a new experience for you. I mean, you've owned this rig for a long time, but
I think we've had it about 12 years.
Yes, and you haven't driven it recently, and certainly not in the last couple of years or so. So, yeah, it was probably a fresh experience for you to some regard.
Yeah, I drove it a little bit. I drove it a little bit about 3 or 4 months ago. But here recently more. I went to Sam's Club. Oh, this is I know we want to get on to the electric Jeeps, but I'll tell you this is hilarious, and it goes to this not being used to a Jeep. Doesn't matter how long you've driven it, and how many years you've driven it. If you haven't driven it in a while, things can get confusing. So I went to Sam's Club the other day to pick up some food and groceries, and I came back out to the TJ. It drove over there just fine. It was nice. It was pleasant to drive. It was the first time I drove it since the Driveshaft had been replaced. And went out there, loaded up the groceries in the front seat of the TJ, the passenger seat, and then got in, hit the, and this one has a key that you have to turn to start it. It's not like a little push button.
Yeah. And so your finger is muscle memory going to the dash.
It did. It really did.
The start button is, it's not there. You got to pull the key out, put it in the slot.
So I went, oh yeah, I turned the key and it goes, you heard the starter go, and then it was kind of like a really short start. The key didn't like like half a crank, if that. Yeah. And then because of the noise, I think it was the air conditioner, the fan was running. I thought the engine had started. I thought, well, that's strange, but if it started just fine. Okay, so that's the clue to this thing. So yeah, I'm ready. I put the seatbelt on, close the door, put it in. It's a standard, so I put it in reverse, and it doesn't move. And
push on the gas pedal. Release the clutch. Nothing happens.
I tried going forward. Nothing happens. I'm like, oh, there's no way in hell that drive shaft could have fallen out without me hearing it. It would have been clunk, clunk, clunk. So, but I had to put it in neutral.
So you look down at the dash and realize that the tachometer is on zero.
And I got out of the Jeep and looked to see if the drive shaft was still connected. The rear drive shaft was still connected.
Oh, Tony.
And it's looking at me like, what the f*** you doing?
Yeah.
get in the Jeep and drive.
Why aren't you? Yeah.
So I get in the Jeep and I'm sitting there and I kind of give it some gas and it's not making the vroom vroom noise. I said, is everything disconnected? Did everything disconnect from the...
You're at this point, you're still thinking the Jeep is running.
Yes. And I'm giving it some gas and it's not making noise. And I said, well, it's running. I can hear it. And I looked over at the gauges. I had looked at it before, but I looked at the gauges. The oil pressure was 0. And I went, there's no way, because the tappets would have been screaming at me.
Oh yeah.
And then I looked over at the tachometer and it's at 0. It wasn't running.
Like, oh, genius. Yeah.
It wasn't running. I was doing all this stuff. I spent a minute and a half trying to make a Jeep that I had not started go.
Oh man. So I've got similar experiences in that, like, I'm frequently driving a 2025 Chevy Silverado 3500. That's my office, if you will. It's my daily work vehicle. And it has the keyless start.
Oh,
it's got the button on the dash. And my daily driver, however, is a 1993 Honda Accord. Very old vehicle, right? Nowhere near anything modern electronics are installed in that thing. And so I frequently will get into my car and push the dash. The finger just goes up and goes to the button because that's what I do 30 times a day. I'm in and out of that rig, a bunch throughout the day. And so all of that muscle memory has built up over the last, year and a half or so that we've had the truck. And getting into any other vehicle, it's the same sort of thing. I've got the muscle memory that pushes the finger up towards the dash to a button that either is or isn't there, depending on which vehicle I'm in.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I felt like such an idiot. And I thought about it and I went, it's not like I don't know this vehicle. It's not like I didn't drive an XJ for 25 years. It's basically the same exact Jeep. Yeah, it's just I haven't driven it in a long time. So, anyway, I turned the key and started it up and everything was fine. But I was in a bit of a panic mode because
I bet.
I think my wife, I was driving the Gladiator. I was driving the TJ because my wife was at her mom's house before taking care of her. So, and I wasn't going to call my wife to come get me. And then even if she comes to get me, what's that going to do? To get everything working again.
All the thoughts that are going on, calling the wife, is the oil pressure, is the driveline drop, what's wrong with the Jeep? Do I got to call AAA? Got to get out and look, got to do an inspection. What's going on now? The emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And it's just because I'm a dumb.
Well, it's muscle memory and things like that. And we get used to things and, old dog, new tricks.
I hadn't driven it so long and just used to the Gladiator. So anyway, like I was saying earlier, I think maybe before we started recording, I went and got a hamburger today, and it just drove over there, got it. It's pleasant to drive. It's smoother and pleasant, more pleasant to drive. And thankfully, we don't have any other issues like with synchronizers or anything. So it shifts great. You have to kind of get a little used to it because it doesn't. I don't jerk around, but I jerk around more than what I would normally do
Well, it's a standard transmission, so
right. But you know how you get used to the standard transmission, and you can make it smooth and anticipate stuff.
Right.
So I'd have to drive it, a few more times. But anyway, all the tests have cleared, and my daughter that works at a Mercedes dealership is going to come by and pick it up in the morning, take it, get it inspected, and then I'll get the tags updated on it, and then we'll see how often my wife
and then you can get
it.
your Gladiator back.
I'm more than happy. I mean, I'm really happy that Susie enjoys the Gladiator as much as she does. She really, really likes it, and I think it says a lot about her as being a Jeep person, that she wants to get her TJ back where she can drive it. She really likes
you're clearly a Jeep family. I mean, you married the right wife. You got great kids. They all drive Jeeps. I mean, what more could a guy ask for?
Yeah. All right, Josh. So there was some terrible lie you were going to tell us about electric Jeeps from China.
There's a rumor. This isn't fully substantiated yet. I've only seen a couple of headlines about this so far, and I haven't had the chance to delve into this yet. But I figured I'd go ahead and what we could talk about it, at least from a 3,000 foot flyover level, about what this is and what it could mean. So back in 2022, Jeep removed manufacturing from China. They had a small automotive manufacturing presence in China, and I think we had talked about it at the time when the change happened, and it was more of a bottom line decision. Jeeps really weren't selling in over in China. There wasn't a whole lot of demand for it. There's certainly not a lot of off-roading opportunities over there for Jeeps, and so they really weren't doing that well. And so it was time for Jeep to sort of pull up stakes. Let's cut our losses. This isn't really producing, so we're going to pull out of China. All fine and dandy. Fast forward 4 or 5 years, and Jeep is now looking at what China is doing. And if you've been living under a rock the last year or two, then it's time for you to wake up, because China is absolutely dominating the market when it comes to EVs. Now, we've long since talked about EVs, whether or not the world or the U.S. even is ready for them. The electric grid isn't really ready for it. They're not really selling. The U.S. market doesn't really want them. They're more expensive. It's one of those things where if you got to put a pork chop around the kid's neck to make the dog play with it, do you really want it, type of thing. And once the subsidies sort of go away, the sales absolutely plummet. And so EV sales here in the U.S. aren't doing that great either. Fast forward over to China, rather, and they've got EVs now that have capabilities of 1,000 miles. They're not being imported here to the U.S. because of reasons. And
let me speak to that real quick, because I don't think you know this. They cannot be sold here legally. The United States does not allow Chinese EVs to be here because China is known to collect information on Americans, and sometimes the ones that they collect information on are military personnel, political figures, so on and so forth. So they are not legal to be sold here in the United States.
That absolutely makes a lot of sense. I mean, we were looking at why a lot of state officials were being forced to remove TikTok from their personal phones because
phones.
Yeah. And even having certain devices, where it was illegal because of state secrets and national security interests and, all that sort of stuff. And China is definitely no stranger to intellectual property theft. So, I absolutely understand why that's happening. Now, that being said, allegedly, Jeep is wanting to capitalize on this EV boom happening over in China. Now, Jeep has sort of toyed around with a couple of ideas over the last 4 or 5 years about an all-electric Jeep. We've seen hints about the Recon having an all-EV edition, and that being sort of their flagship EV, if you will. And whether or not that's going to work here in the U.S. is still, I think, up for debate. But I think that Jeep is making a solid move here because they're seeing what China is doing, how the market is shifting over there, and I think they want to get back into that market. They were there before, they had a presence, they're gone, and now they want to return, but they want to do it sort of with earmarks. They want to do it as a Chinese automaker, but with the Jeep brand, but solely EV. And there's rumors that those EVs manufactured in China, under the Jeep brand will be imported out here or exported over here to the U.S. Now, whether or not that's going to happen, whether or not they're going to be bare bones and all the electronics will be sourced and installed here in the U.S., I don't know what that's going to look like, how it's all going to work out, what the details are. Again, I haven't had a chance to really delve into this too deep. It's just sort of headlines at this point.
Right.
But there's enough out there that it looks like this is going to happen. And 2027 allegedly is going to be the timeline as to when the imports are going to start coming over.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in Washington. Yeah, I don't know what kind of deals they're working. Maybe they'll change the laws for the Jeep specific Chinese made vehicles. But as it stands right now, they ain't coming here. They may be going to Mexico. They may be going to the European Union. They may be going to Canada. But
I could see
Chinese made Jeep ain't going to be here.
I could see them kind of doing what Ford did back during the chip shortage, where they were making vehicles, but they didn't have any chips in them. I mean, they had some wires in them, but all the processors were not there.
Well, they were going and taking chips out of vehicles that they couldn't sell, if I remember right.
Yeah. So it was the rob Peter to pay Paul sort of thing. Exactly. And so I could see a version of that potentially circumventing the U.S. laws against Chinese intellectual property theft and stuff coming over here. So I mean, there's no other way around it unless they put an asterisk on that law and say, okay, well, if it's from Jeep, then
you don't know who the next president's going to be or what political party,
right?
And that could make a whole different change.
The timeline is 2027 on this. So this is next year that we're talking about. And I don't know if that means 2027 models or coming in 2027, 2028 models. Because, usually the year model starts being manufactured about a half a year ahead of time.
Yeah, it's strange.
And so, in about, June, July, August, around that year, you'll have the next year's model being manufactured. So a 2027 is being manufactured as we speak right now because we're halfway through the year already. Those models are already in manufacture to come out in the first quarter of 2027. You can't manufacture a car in 2027 and have it ready to go in the first quarter, beginning manufacturing January 1st. It has to happen ahead of time just because of supply chains and how long it takes to build a vehicle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. We're talking about indirectly, we were talking about how the Chinese government could track people, military personnel, people part of the Trump administration, so on and so forth, how they could track them and get information on them, maybe even deep information. There's CarPlay, so they may even be able to get information from a phone that is connected to the vehicle, to the EV.
Yeah.
So I can understand why the U.S. government doesn't want Chinese EVs here. But what if it was people that were collecting information in the United States legally, tracking your every move? This is a subject
they're doing that anyways.
Yeah, I know. This is a subject that we talked about on this week's roundtable, and we had a really good conversation about that. If you're not familiar with our roundtable, we meet every Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And you just go to xjtalk.com/contact to find out the detailed information. Anybody can join. It's a Zoom meeting. And the question I posed was, what do you think about flock cameras? Josh, you have to have an opinion about flock cameras. I know you.
So it's been interesting because there's been a lot of that in the news lately, and one of the most recent stories that comes to mind is about a homeowners association that wanted to use. And now Flock is just a brand like Xerox.
Yeah,
we talk about making a Xerox or whatever. It's just a brand. And so it's the automatic license plate reader, ALPR cameras is sort of the umbrella in which they fall under. Flock is under that umbrella, just one of many other brands that are out there doing this sort of thing. And it is essentially just metadata collection, looking at license plates. It can read like 1,000 license plates in a minute. It sort of tracks, not necessarily tracks, it just says this license plate was here at this time. And another camera will see that same license plate and it will register that plate at that time. And another one will see that same license plate and now it's here at this time. And all that that data gets, correlated into a massive amount of metadata that goes and
it's a nationwide database that's
yes.
Correlated by AI, which of course pisses people off.
if you're suddenly a suspect in your wife's murder, well, then they can go back to that flock data and sort of track your movements as to where you were and when. And you were saying, well, I was at work. Well, the flock camera showed you over here in the next town over when you said that you were supposed to be at work. So there's definitely some good things that can come of automatic license plate readers. If you've got, we look at Amber alerts that happen. We get them out here probably once a month or so. I see an Amber alert pop up. Having the ALPR
how about a stolen Jeep or a stolen Honda?
Or stolen Honda, right? Yeah, if only those things were around when I had my Honda stolen so many times back in the day. Yeah, no doubt. But again, it's those sorts of things that make them so valuable. Now, there is the other side of that pancake. And it is, what is that data being collected for? Could that data be used for anterior motives? Could it be used for things that some people don't like? Now, obviously, if you are a crime committer, you may not like the idea of that. If you are a fan of people getting away with committing crimes, well, you probably are not a fan of that kind of technology being readily available and used in almost every city.
What kind of world would this be if you're going out to do a protest, let's say in Oregon, and unfortunately it becomes a mostly peaceful protest, yes. and you can be identified as the people that were turning cars over, or just a championship that people that wins, and you go out there and people are messing around, and everybody knows that they can be identified by these flock cameras and prosecuted. It's like an armed public
at the time.
No. This thing tracks. It doesn't just track license plates, Josh. It tracks the vehicle, the color of the vehicle, and it can see the person inside the vehicle. All this goes into the database. It's not just license plates.
But essentially, it is only vehicles. So if you walked, biked, skateboarded, e-biked, took the bus to the protest, it might catch the bus, but it's not going to catch you. These aren't watching your movements. These are watching the movements of vehicles.
I'll have to check it, but I think it is.
Whether you are in a vehicle or not, the title of the camera is an ALPR, an automatic license plate reader. That's what they're designed for. That's what they do. They don't really have facial recognition software built in. They don't recognize that's Tony driving that Jeep. It will probably recognize or put in a white male driving the Jeep or something like that. I don't even know if the metadata goes that deep. I don't think that it does. So, because the cameras are essentially, at least this is the way that they're designed and marketed, are for automatic license plate reading only. Now, they may see other things. I don't know if that data is collected. We talk about color of the vehicle, direction of travel, things like that. Obviously, maybe even speed and things like that. Obviously, those can all be part of the data collection. But whether or not it is recognizing that it is Tony driving that Jeep, or whether it is Josh driving that Honda, or whatever it may be, I don't think it goes that far. So it's not tracking your movements per se. You walk out of the house and the camera down the end of the street isn't watching you walk out your door. Maybe the camera across the street on your neighbor's front door is. You got to look at Ring cameras and things like that, whether or not those are collecting data, because those are on all the time. And we see videos all the time on YouTube and other places, TikTok and Facebook and other social media platforms. And people have lightning strike videos, or the garbage truck driver who errantly hits a garbage can, or the kid that eats shit in the road, riding his bike. All funny or entertaining, et cetera, et cetera. But those are collecting a lot more data, if you will, about your personal movements than the ALPR cameras, the flock cameras that everybody has a big problem with. And the way that people are using the data. And I think that that's where the line in the sand is getting drawn. There's been
a couple of police officers here recently that got in trouble for tracking their exes. So I looked it up real quick, and you're right. It officially doesn't track people. The standard Falcon ALPR cameras are designed to photograph the rear of passing cars and extract plate, make, model, color, and visible extras, racks, trailers, damage, stickers. So the Jeep Talk Show is on somebody's radar.
Identifiable features.
Yeah.
So one of the times that my car, there was a 1996 Honda Accord that I owned at the time, and it got stolen from me 5 different times. And one of the times that it was recovered was because of an ALPR camera.
Really?
A city police officer was on his regular patrol, and he was just driving down the street, and he got a notification on his screen. You just passed a car that is on the stolen vehicle list. And so he looks up the information. Nice. It says it's a green Honda Accord, license plate, this, yada, yada, yada. He backs up, verifies the vehicle is that vehicle, and it is sitting right there, indeed. And I got a phone call 5 minutes later. And it says, we have your vehicle. It is sitting at this street, at this intersection. Would you like to come get it? And of course, there's a lot of other questions. Is it in one piece? Are there wheels and tires on it? Because multiple times I've gotten it back with it in different pieces and no wheels and tires on it, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's one of those things where if you are a law-abiding citizen and everybody in your circle is a law-abiding citizen, you've got literally not a thing to worry about.
Right.
So don't get your panties in a bunch over something that you don't understand, that you don't fully grasp the concept of, and are mad about because the social media platform that you're on so much tells you to be mad at it. It's one of these things that people don't understand. People get angry and upset over things that they don't fully understand. And I think there's a lot of that going on with the flock cameras because it's just a company name. They're being associated with this, and it's really too bad because there's a lot of negativity in the news about them right now.
So this is a perfect example of the two sides of this coin, where you don't like being monitored by the flock camera, but if your vehicle is stolen and you get a call from a police officer because the cop didn't even have to think, it was just an automated thing that went off. So, and it makes it much more likely for that to be found than somebody that's checking every license plate that they see. And so the one side of you may not like to be tracked, may not want to be seen what you're doing, even if you're not a criminal. You just don't like the idea of it. But the other side of you getting your vehicle back is like, well, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. And I think that's the problem that we have with the flock camera is people like the anonymity that they think they have, but you have no reasonable expectation of anonymity. Oh, I did it right the first time.
Once you step out your door, once you step out of your private little bubble, you are no longer anonymous. You don't have any right to anonymity. You are in the public space, and therefore anything and everything that you do is open to public scrutiny. Whether you like it or not, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And if you don't like being tracked and you don't like flock cameras because of that, well, then you should be vehemently mad and angry over Ring and Nest and all the other cameras that are out there on everybody's freaking front door. I guarantee you those are tracking your movements a lot more than the freaking flock cameras are.
Yeah. And that's kind of my point. So just for the record, I don't like flock cameras. I don't like being tracked. It's just like a police officer pulling you over and say, hey, can I search your vehicle? My answer will always be no. Not because I have anything in there. It's because that's a human being. And depending on what they want to do, they could plant evidence. And then I would not be in a very good, would not be a very happy Tony, and definitely not a happy Jeeper. Josh, things often work out the way you want them to. Sometimes they don't. I don't know how good a segue that is, but I want to talk about T-shirts. Like, somebody's selling something. As soon as I said T-shirts, they went, then we're gonna get barraged about being sold something. And yes, you are. So,
but it's okay because it's really cool stuff.
I gave you the link, xjtalk.com/store.
Yeah, you did.
Did you check it out?
Perusing through it. I did, dude. And there's a few things I have in a cart. You've got a ghost cart sitting on there right now. It's all mine. There's several items in there that I'm going to be pulling the trigger on. So really cool stuff. And look, I'm a part of the show. And I'm going to be buying this stuff, okay? So if I'm going to be buying the stuff from the show that I'm doing, I sure think that you can do the same thing too.
Well, we've got the or however it says.
That's going to be a barn burner right there. Everybody's going to buy that. That's going to be a sellout, right? That's going to be a good one. Yeah.
And it's even on a coffee cup as well as in, how about a nice big steaming cup of shut the up. I think that's a great Monday coffee cup.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, you definitely want to have one of these on your desk or sitting up on the counter for Saturday morning, something like that. Definitely. There's some great shirts on there as well. The artistry is just fantastic. You definitely got to get behind this. If you're looking for any other way to support the show, you don't want to get into a monthly subscription or something like that, go over there, go buy a mug, go buy a t-shirt. We got some really cool stuff at xjtalk.com/shop.
So,
or is it /store?
Shop.
Shop. Okay, I got it right.
So tell me honestly, because the first one that I did was something we had talked about on the show in the past about the spotters. You know, you get a spotter that just jumps up there in front of your Jeep and right. I mean, passenger. You know, that kind of gives you a clue that they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and there's no spotter certification. How do you know you can trust that spotter with your valuable Jeep? It can be a 30-year-old Jeep, but it's still valuable to you and all the time and effort that you put into it.
Does he have a Pabst Blue Ribbon in his hand or not? That's going to be
exactly. So we have a certified spotter T-shirt that you can get, and I think you can get it in orange. You know, like safety orange or safety yellow.
Oh yeah, look at me.
And there's a rating, and it has a rating on the T-shirt itself. 1 to 5 bottles of beer is the rating.
Right.
So if you've ever been spotted off road, you know what I'm talking about. There's a spotter there, and maybe if you're lucky, it's only one. It's not two people. Don't listen to him. And then there's three people on the rock over here screaming at you.
Everybody's an expert spotter, and you got 4 people barking directions at you, and none of them know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So mark yourself as a certified spotter so that you get the respect and the attention you deserve by getting one of these T-shirts. It's like Josh was saying, xjtalkshow.com/shop. And I do have to say this because we confused some people with the voicemail thing. You know, people were going to the voicemail and they thought it was a scam type thing because they were being redirected.
Oh, right.
So this shop is not on Jeep Talk Show. It's with I think it's called Fourth Wall, is the people that the store that puts together the T-shirts and sends them out to you. So this is the same deal. You go to jeeptalkshow.com/shop, and it's going to take you to the Fourth Wall. But you'll see JTS, you'll see the shirts and everything, the mugs that are there.
It's definitely Jeep Talk Show all over the place.
Yeah. So just make sure it's on the up and up. Yeah. So go over there and check it out. If you've got ideas for T-shirts, let me know. Steve-O gave me one that is one I'm surprised I didn't think of, which is Death Wobble. I don't think you've seen that one yet, Josh.
You know, I survived Death Wobble T-shirt. Yeah, I did see that one. That was a really cool one. I think that's one of the ones that's in my. It's got the Grim Reaper and stuff.
The Grim Reaper, yeah. I love AI, and I'll just tell you guys, AI made all those graphics. I mean, I came up with the words.
I'd give a shit.
I know, it's gorgeous,
great, and they look awesome. Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, if the Jeep Talk Show can make a few pennies off of that and help keep the lights on, then it's awesome. I'm all for it.
And one more. I know you saw this one. I know Nikki G.
Oh yeah, that was a great one. I met Nikki G or something like that. Yeah,
I know Nikki G.
Yeah, I know Nikki G. Yeah,
that's got a cartoon.
And it's got a character of Nikki G on it, and it looks like him even. So
I did one more that has Nikki G on the back, and it shows the back of his head that's on your back. So it shows Nikki G from the front on the front, and Nikki G from the back on the back.
From the back. That's great.
Anyway, I can keep talking about this stuff on and on and on. One other thing I wanted to mention, and Josh, you saw this. We were talking offline, and you were looking at this before we recorded last week, I believe. The JTS Flicks. It is the Jeep Talk Show in a Netflix format.
And boy, is it ever. It's super professional, very, very intuitive, absolutely gorgeous to look at. Everything is right there. I mean, you can see, probably a dozen, maybe 2 dozen thumbnails on the screen all at once. You can kind of pick things out. It remembers your selections. It filters things out. You can filter it by the vehicle that you own or what you want to listen to and stuff. There's all kinds of categories and stuff too. You can just listen or look at all the chick chat videos and stuff as well. I mean, everything is there. It is, and it's all laid out. It looks really amazing, and it's phenomenal. Go check that out if you want to check out anything from the Jeep Talk Show. Go check that out because that's going to impress you.
So, if you'd like to know how to install that app, you can't. It is not an app. There is nothing to install. It is a website.
Yeah.
You just go to jeeptalkshow.com. Jeep Talk. I'm too excited. jeeptalkshow.com/watch. And you get all this stuff, and you get it on your mobile, you get it on your desktop, you get it on your laptop, you get it on your tablet. There's nothing to install. There's nothing to update. It's just
built-in player too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you just go there, you get a player right there in the middle of your screen. And the absolute fantastic thing I think about it is you could get a little small player that stays on top. So you can move it around on your screen, go back to your work, go back to doing something else. And you got the player right there on the screen. If you got multiple screens, you can move it off to another screen and just glance at it whenever there's something interesting that you want to see. It just allows you to binge the Jeep Talk Show. I looked at it as something you could do while you're at work. Not you, Josh, because you're driving.
Absolutely.
But
no, I was gonna say, yeah. If you're like me, you probably don't want to do it during the workday because you're going to be driving a lot, and that's probably not a good idea.
But it does work on a mobile. I mean, it doesn't allow you to get the small thing and all that stuff. But so you can just start it on the mobile, and then you can turn the screen off, and now you're listening to it. But you still have that one place that you can go to, jeeptalkshow.com/watch, and just catch up with all the episodes. And the whole idea is making it convenient for you to watch the show or listen to it.
Boy, look how we're just setting things up for you guys. Just put it right out there on a silver platter for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I've seldom mentioned this, but I'm going to mention it today. You have to ask. You can't just wait for it to roll in. I like to use the one I use where you're at the junior high dance. You're standing along the wall. You're leaning up against the wall, and you're waiting for the girl to come ask you to dance. Well, it's probably not going to happen. So I'm going to ask you guys to dance. I'm going to be the bold one to go over there and ask you to, if you like the show, share it with somebody. Go out there and tell them about it. And let them know about the Netflix style interface that we have. And they can just go to jeeptalkshow.com. It's right there on the top, JTS Flicks, as is our shop. So you don't have to remember much. Just go to jeeptalkshow.com and click on the various things, and then you can get there and share the QR code with folks. It's right there on your phone. They can use their phone. I mean, you go to jeeptalkshow.com. QR code is right there on the main page. Show it to them on your phone. They can scan it on their phone, and now they're trapped. I mean, now they're enjoying good content.
I'm picturing a junior high Tony. Excuse me, Susie, could I please have this dance? It's. Oh man, I'm cracking myself up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was it? 16 Candles? There was that infamous scene where they're all standing there along the wall at the dance.
Yeah. All the wallflowers. Yeah. Timely reference, Tony. Timely reference, as usual.
Well, it was the other thing we did on the round table. Again, round tables, jeeptalkshow.com/contact. Learn how to join us on Tuesday night, 7:30. One of the things we were talking about, because it wasn't Jeep related, it was movies. We were talking about who was in movies, and I remember Roger was getting a lot of people wrong. Apparently, every movie that Roger has seen, Charlie Sheen has been in. I was like, Charlie Sheen was not in that movie.
He's not in that.
He was not in Lost Boys. Yeah, he wasn't in Lost Boys. Yeah. He thought Emilio and Charlie were in Lost Boys, the Frog Brothers.
Oh,
so we had a good time talking about movies, and everybody loves talking about movies. I thought that was really cool.
It's funny because it's something that I've kind of been wanting to do as a segment here on the show for years. I don't get a chance to sit down in front of the TV a whole lot, especially for any lengthy period of time. But it seems like every time that I turn on the TV and I'm watching something, there's a Jeep in it. It's a show, it's a movie, it's a series, whatever it may be, sometimes even a commercial. 98% of what is on the screen ends up having a Jeep in it. It's not on purpose. It's not like I'm watching Jeep related flicks or anything like that. I'm watching, episodes of the Jeep Talk Show. No, this is just, it happened. It started back when we were doing the Walking Dead episodes and stuff.
Oh, there were so many Jeeps. Yeah, we just talk about that.
In like 2014, 2016. I mean, something like that. Like 10 plus years this has been going on. And it's one of those things where, and I need to start getting a logbook going, to where it's just like, on this date, on this channel, I was watching this at this time, and on this scene, I saw this Jeep. And it's just like, and I can have this whole like library of instances that Jeeps were in, some kind of a media format, whether it be a series or a movie or whatever it be. But just my luck. I don't know. It's one of those things to where it's like, as soon as you own a red Jeep, all of a sudden that's all you see is red Jeeps.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's just one of those things that, because I'm such a Jeep guy, I'm looking for it. I just happened to see the lone ZJ sitting over in the backfield in the one scene for a half a second. I was like, there was a Jeep. There it was. I saw it.
Hey, this is Nicky G, and I just want to let you know that I invented a thought-controlled air freshener. Yeah, everybody said it was dumb, but it makes sense. It makes sense if you think about it. Yeah, I think I screwed that up. Sense. It makes sense if you think about it. Third time's the charm. Still here, glutton for more punishment. Today I saw a dwarf climbing down a prison wall. And I thought to myself, that's a little condescending. It's a little condescending. Well, these wordplay jokes just ain't working it. I'll have to go back to the basics. My father once told me that you catch more flies with honey. Yeah, he owes me a new baseball mitt. You gotta dance with the one that brung you. All right, boys and girls, I'll chat you later and have a good one. Bye. None of this is making sense.
So all too many times I'm seeing Jeeps when I probably should or I shouldn't. And anyways, I go out in my garage. I can see a Jeep anytime I want. If you guys would like to see more Jeeps or see more of us, well, all you got to do is head over to xjtalk.com/contact. You can find out all the different ways to interact with the show, reach out to us individually, reach out to us as a group, and of course, find out all the different ways you can interact and support the show as well. We got multiple shows happening all throughout the week. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are helping us out, too, keeping the lights on here in the Studio B and Studio A, keeping the Jeep Talk Show coming to you free, live, and direct every week.
Go over there and buy a mug, and then show us a picture of it.
Oh, yeah.
I think those mugs
we love
really
the emails. Cool. Love the emails. We had somebody reach out to us recently and show us a picture of their Jeep and stuff like that. So always love the interaction. Always love seeing your guys' rigs and stuff. So by all means, we're here for you. You're here for us. We'll see you next time.
Have a great night.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.
xjtalk.com-llc and the Jeep Talk Show podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the host, guests, and contributors are their own and do not represent professional advice, endorsements, or recommendations. We strongly advise consulting a licensed or certified mechanic or automotive professional for any repairs, modifications, or maintenance to your vehicle. By listening to or using any information provided on this show, you assume full responsibility for your actions and any resulting consequences, including potential risks to safety, property, or legal compliance. The Jeep Talk Show and its affiliates disclaim all liability for any damages or losses arising from the application of this content.